How's it going, everybody? This is Kudo and welcome to my run. Today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil Village, and this is my full review analysis of the game. So if you haven't finished it, don't worry, this is not going to contain any spoilers. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, Resident Evil Village was really announced and teased about 2 years ago, and over the development and time that we know in the game, it's gone through a couple different phases that I don't know if some people were curious about or even worried about. I think Resident Evil 7 brought the genre of horror back into Resident Evil, but it also added a lot of features that some people weren't too sure that they liked, such as a first-person perspective, having a new protagonist, having a story that really didn't do well around zombies. The story overall just really had a lot of different changes and some things that people really weren't sure whether it was going to be successful or not. However, fast forward a couple of years and Resident Evil 7 was extremely successful, sold really well. It really reinvented itself as this Resident Evil game, not just in the genre itself, but also the way that they did gameplay, the way that they did it, the first person perspective, the RE engine itself, which is now the engine that has been used for several Resident Evil games, as well as Devil May Cry, and overall just the way that they brought storytelling and the horror genre in a different light from the Resident Evil perspective side. So overall, not only was it really successful, it really merited itself for a sequel. So Resident Evil 8, now known as Resident Evil Village, has come out a few days ago, and I had my chance to play around it. I played about 10 hours finishing the game and starting again in New Game Plus. So I can tell you guys this juicy details and tell you my what I think about it, the thoughts, and kind of my impressions on the overall series so far. So let's go ahead and jump right into with the story. So Resident Evil Village takes 3 years after the original Resident Evil 7, taking place in Europe. Ethan, the main protagonist, is now with his wife and his new daughter, and he's just trying to live a new life. As we uncover a couple details here, looks like Ethan is not living as much as a normal life as he would like us to believe, as he's gone through some military training, working along with Chris Redfield from the original Resident Evil series, and he's just kind of trying to protect his family. He's trying to live a normal life, but at the same time, it's really hard for him to kind of forget events and details that happened during Resident Evil 7 in Louisiana, where he really, you can see that everything that happened had a lot of mental impact, not only for him but also his family. You can see the way that Mia reacts to things, and obviously how he's just not able to let go of what happened. So it really does seem that it really impacted him. So as he's just kind of hanging out and spending some time with his family, Chris Redfield and his team just show up out of nowhere, shoot Mia, and kidnap his baby, and the next thing he knows, he just wakes up in the middle of Europe, somewhere in the middle of a village. It's snowing, it's freezing, it's dark, and he doesn't know what's going on. As he just walks around and trying to find clues, he starts seeing some really odd events happening around the village. Not only does he see that there's almost nobody in the village, there's also this mysterious werewolf-like things that are just attacking him. He is lost, he's trying to find his way. He sees this mysterious lady that tells him that his daughter is in this village. So from here on, he just finds a couple locals that he kind of finds more information on, and offs off the adventure. He now is trying to find his daughter. He meets a lot of different interesting characters as the story moves forward, and it really just, it's an interesting Resident Evil game because it is a really lonely game. You do meet a few people, but there is a more in the aspect of this survival horror game than just really people. Everybody that you meet, it definitely has a purpose that you meet them, and they definitely just help in a lot of different ways, the people that you met at least. On that side, I just want to say that I really like the way they did the storytelling in this game. There is a lot of mystery surrounding what's going on. There's a lot of mystery surrounding Ethan and his family. There's a lot of mystery between as far as what's going on in the village, the vampires, the werewolves, all these creatures that you see as you uncover some new aspects and some new parts of the game. And it's just a really well crafted game. I will say a lot of people have mentioned the fact that this game is a little short, going around 10 hours to 12 hours in a single playthrough. And some people even raising the fact that, you know, maybe not may not be worth it because of the length. Now, I personally don't think so. I feel like this is definitely worth it as a series. This is definitely worth a $60 price. Not only because there's a lot of replayability value, but because the story itself, it's really good. Actually, it surprises me a lot because for me, in a lot of perspectives, and I'll say this, Resident Evil stories aren't usually super deep. Sure, there's a lot of like mystery to it, and there's a lot of things that you uncover, but they're also really quirky, and they have like a specific kind of humor to them, and there's always like this aspect that makes you feel like, you know, it's a Resident Evil story. But this one is Resident Evil story, but with a lot of elements that they added. They definitely paid homage to a lot of different horror genres in this one, such as, you know, like the gothic vampire, werewolf, village kind of thing. They do like a dollhouse situation. They have like a I don't know, there's like all these different genres or horror of like different styles of horror that are mixed into this one, and they are able to kind of craft something that makes it really unique, because not only is it respecting horror, other types of horror, other movies, other books, series, they're respecting all the different horror types, but it's also adapting them in a single storyline that it does kind of make sense, and it does go for something in particular. I'm not gonna lie, not everything in this game makes sense. Some parts are kind of a little bit weird, and some of them just really don't make sense at all. But again, it is part of the Resident Evil fun, is kind of how they do storytelling in this game. So in a perspective, as long as you see this as a Resident Evil story and what it's going for and everything, I think they do a really good job. So 9 out of 10 on the story. I actually quite enjoyed that. So moving into the gameplay and a lot of the aspects of this game actually did an excellent job as far as moving from the Resident Evil 7 gameplay to a combination between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7, kind of like a combination of both two. I really liked everything that they implemented from 4. Resident Evil 4 is easily one of my favorite Resident Evil games. I think it will be number 2 or number 3 at this point, I think. So I really love Resident Evil 4, and I love everything they did in this series so far with Resident Evil, the way that they have implemented some stuff. And this game just really adapted things from the inventory to the merchant to the buffs that you get to all the different aspects that they added to the original Resident Evil game. Not only did they adapted a lot of Resident Evil 4 aspects, even things like the music and the sound feels a lot of Resident Evil aspects to it. In fact, whenever you're walking through the village and you're like finding these monsters and creatures and everything, there are a lot of things that really make you feel like this is a Resident Evil game, but particularly this is a spiritual successor to Resident Evil 4, and they do a particularly excelling job as far as selling you the idea that this is supposed to be that. And I really admire that. I actually quite admire the fact that they were not only valiant enough. I feel like a lot of people who are fans of Resident Evil plays Resident Evil 4 as this in a pedestal, like as this particular really good game, and people don't really even want people to touch it because they love it so much. And in fact, a lot of people don't want a Resident Evil 4 because remake, because I feel like it'll almost be like I don't know if they can surpass the level of Resident Evil 4, but looking at Resident Evil Village, I feel like they did an excellent job as far as like adapting new themes, again with the different genres in horror, at the same time paying homage to Resident Evil 4 and what it stood for, the gameplay, the style of it, and everything like that. They did a pretty good job. The weapon variety is really fun. Unlocking the different areas is actually kind of fun, looking at the map and just seeing, okay, here's where we are, this is where we are not, this is where we go to, and everything like that. In a really Resident Evil fashion, you are able to go to different areas and unlock different stuff, different puzzles, unlock different parts of the new areas that you can visit and everything. And this game will have a lot of backtracking. It does allow you to kind of look around and see different areas, but at the same time it does a pretty good job as far as making you feel like you're making a discovery, making you feel like the backtracking is worth it. It does make me feel like this game was maybe a little bit too easy on that side. There is a lot of weapon variety, and there are some really strong guns in here. They encourage you to go and get the newest weapons, to get the newest upgrades, and the game makes it actually really easy to get money as well. I actually didn't expect this, because the previous Resident Evil games were pretty stingy when it came to money and what you get and everything like that, and not this game. This game is really generous with money and supplies and things that you get. I played this game on normal difficulty, and I heard that even the hardest difficulty isn't super hard in that sense. Like, it still gives you quite a bit of stuff. So I'm really interested to see why they made the choices that they did. But it's still pretty fun. Like, I just had a lot of fun just going around and finding new stuff and equipping the new stuff and getting the new weapons. The designs on the weapons themselves are really good. Like, the specific style that went for, which just goes from looking really, I don't know, like a really stylistic gothic style, because you are in a castle and a village and everything like that. The shotgun and the handgun that you get, and even the grenade launcher that you get, they're all like super detailed with like gold trims and it and everything like that. There's just all this different stuff that just makes you feel like they really put a lot of emphasis into the design of the weapons and the way that they sound and feel and everything like that. Playing the game on the PlayStation 5 is also a really unique experience because you get to experience the adaptive trigger, and it feels fantastic. Just shooting the shotgun or the rifle, aiming at it and everything like that. It is such an awesome experience. Actually, if you don't have PlayStation 5 and you kind of in the fence about it, this is the extremely interesting feature to have. Actually, this is my second game that I've ever played with the adaptive triggers, and it's so well done here that I just want every single shooter or game that has guns to adapt this feature because it is really well done and implemented here. As far as the gameplay and everything, I will give it a 10 out of 10. Again, I really love everything they did for this game when it comes to the gameplay. It's fantastic. It's easily one of the most fun Resident Evil to play in. So speaking of fun, let's go ahead and talk about the perspective of the performance. How does this game feel? How does this game look, sound, and everything on that aspect? So the game looks fantastic. It's easily one of the best Resident Evil looking games in like the RE engine, not the new ones, Resident Evil 2, 7, 3, Devil May Cry. This is a really good game. It looks really, really good. The different areas that you visit are really unique and different, and you can definitely see the different areas, whether it's like in the sunlight or in the snow, inside the castle, outside of the castle, in underground, in a lake area. There's like all these different areas that you visit as you move forward to the story, and each one of them just showcase a different aspect of the RE engine, and it's really beautiful. I really, 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 really love the way that the RE engine looks. The character designs are really well done. The character models look fantastic. All the animations, everything that they did with this game, it's phenomenal. I actually quite love everything that was done with this engine. Everything, it just looks fantastic. I experienced 0 bugs in my playthrough. Everything, although I did saw some pop-ins here and there, but again, it makes sense. This is a really heavily populated area with a lot of different stuff that you see. You're walking, and the whole village is like so in detail, and as you move forward you find so many stuff. So pop-ins are expected, I guess, but it's not like anything bad. I never saw anything that was game breaking. Nothing really took me out of the experience or anything like that. I really like the way the game looks. Now, as far as it sounds, this game, I mentioned this before, does have, I don't know if it's intentional or it just happens, but this has a lot of sounds and details from Resident Evil 4, not only in the way that the soundtrack feels, even when you're listening to the soundtrack of the saving room, for example, that's had a lot of the same aspects to Resident Evil 4, but also even the guns sound like Resident Evil 4, like the shotgun or the rifle does sound a lot like that. I don't know if that was on purpose, kind of like making homage to that or something like that, but the sound is good. I can't say anything on that aspect. I didn't experience this game on 3D HD, the new 3D sound for Sony and everything. I don't have a headset for that, but from what I heard, it's really well made, and it's really scary. For example, there's an area where you go visit a dollhouse, and there's like so many like you can hear like laughing and crying and like steps and everything like that, and everything on the background just sounds so scary. Like the atmosphere in this game, it's so well done, whether it comes from the visuals or the sound itself. The combination of both is really well made. I can say that they worked really hard on this game, and you can see that there's a lot of passion going into the music and the sounds and everything. So easily performance, the way that it feels and looks is also 10 out of 10 for me here. They just really did a good job showcasing the power of the engine from a sound perspective and as well from the visual perspective. It's a really well made game. So overall, I want to say that this game was succeeding my expectations in a lot of aspects. Resident Evil 7 was a really fun game for me and I really enjoyed it. In like the horror aspect, it really surprises me a lot, but I feel like Resident Evil Village exceeded a lot of the everything that you thought Resident Evil 7 did good. Resident Evil 8 or Village, if you want to call it that, did better in like almost every detail that I had. Everything complaining that I had on Resident Evil 7, whether it came to writing of the characters or some of the later areas or something like that, I feel like Resident Evil Village did a better job as far as showcasing a lot of different aspects. You can definitely see that the creators learned a lot from Resident Evil 7 and implemented everything even better on Village. Anyway, that is pretty much in my review here. The game is gonna get a 9 out of 10 for me here. It's a really good game. It's definitely a buy. $60 price. They did everything that I wanted the game to be done to. Everything on the sense of what I expected a Resident Evil game to be like is here, and I really love the game so far. So if you haven't played it already, definitely check it out. If you're a fan of the series, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and pick it up today. And anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you're new, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know in the comments below what do you think about Resident Evil Village if you have played it already, and if you haven't, let me know. Are you excited for this, or you haven't? Why haven't you picked it up? Thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.